Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Logical Eds and today I'll be teaching you guys how to rig and animate your own custom weapons for Black Ops 3. Now, to start things off, I've been requested by a bunch of people to do this since I've been working on my new Borderlands map, and I've been porting and creating custom animations and weapons and stuff like that for the map, and people ask me how do you do it, so I decided to make this. Now, quick disclaimer, I am fairly new at this, so my animations aren't going to be high quality. Some of them are actually pretty bad, the ones I have right now, and I plan on redoing them. I just want a little bit more talent, but and more knowledge on how to do this. But I just want to get the tutorial out there, even though I'm not the best at it, only to show you guys how to do it, so you can do it yourself and learn from this, so you can make it, better than mine, hopefully. So first things first, what you're going to need is a couple things. You're going to need Maya, preferably 2016. So you could get Aiden's tools with that. You're going to need this rig, which will be in the description below, Black Ops 3, and any kind of model. So, oh, and also one thing, we're also going to need Greyhound, which is an asset extractor for Call of Duty, any Call of Duty really. And why we're going to need this is coming later in the tutorial, and I'll show you why later. So let's start off with the model. So I'm using this one right here. It's from Sketchfab. If you want to use the same exact model, you can go ahead in the description and click on it, and you can go down here and download the model and put it on your desktop, which is what I already did. Next is the rig, which comes from this guy right here, Luna Ryuku. I hope I say your name right. And he created, I don't know if he created this himself, but I think he did. But his rig is perfect for what we need. And we're not going to be using Jaybird's rig, if you've ever seen his tutorials on weapon porting, because his rig is set up for trigger animations to just drag and drop. And we're not going to be dragging and dropping anything, because we're creating it ourselves, and we're going to need a rig that you can move the fingers, hands, and everything, really. So, just click on the video down here, it'll be in the description, and download this right here, this Google Drive. Next, you're going to need Call of Duty Maya tools. Again, link will be in the description. You download this, you install it to Maya, and you're good to go. And the last thing, which is Greyhound, which will be in the description below. Not here, sorry. Right here. Created by Scoobabula. And it'll be in the description as well. And you just, download it, and that's pretty much it. So let's get started. First thing I want you to do is open up Call of Duty Black Ops 3. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we are in Black Ops 3, and I just loaded up the Giant, and it's best to do this in windowed mode so that we can press escape and just open up Greyhound. And when you have Greyhound open, you want to click load game, and all the assets will load. Oh, I'm sorry, you want to go to settings first, go to in-game settings, make sure you want X models, X anims, go down to model settings. You don't really need the images. What you really need though is export.ma, which is the Maya scene. And these items, you could copy my settings for this. Image settings, make sure it's on TIFF. Sound settings, wave, GDT, all that stuff. And then once you got all those settings, you can press load game again. Really, all we need is the X model. And we need a weapon. So we're working with an AK-47. So if we type in rifle, we have right here, weapon T7 base rifle view. And we have the mag view. We want to, select those two and click export selected and click OK. And we should be done with this. So we can go ahead and close out of Black Ops 3 and Greyhound. And as you said, it came up, it exported, so we could open up a file or a folder, go to where Greyhound is, and exported files, Black Ops 3, X models. Now, you're not going to have all of these, of course. You're only going to have base rifle view and base rifle mag view. So if we open up this, we could see that it comes with the Maya file right here, weapon T7 base file, view, LOD 0. So we could open up Maya now, and we're going to want to open this up. Now, you could just make it easier on yourself and just double click that and it'll open up Maya. Or you could do it the hard way, which is the way I'm doing it. And exported files, Black Ops 3, X models, base rifle view. And let's open this up. And here we go. We have I believe this is the I don't know Black Ops 3 weapons. M27? I think that's Black Ops 2 actually. It doesn't really matter. Right now, all we have is the weapon. We have no, no magazine. So if we click this, just to bring this up, this is our view finder, I think. I don't know what it's really called. I just know that we're going to need this because we need the joints for tag weapon to tag sights. And this wraith mesh is, that mesh. Next thing, we're going to go to the mag view. And let's just drag in our Maya file. Make sure it's not the bind. It's the regular Maya file. And just drag it in. Okay. Now with that, let's click 4 on our keyboard to bring up the wireframe display. And you can see the mag isn't lined up with the gun. So let's just get this right here. We can click on this, press W on your keyboard, and just drag it over to about where it would look right. And tag clip. So let's drag that over to here. Cool. Now this looks pretty good. This looks normal. Next thing, let's drag in our model that we exported from or downloaded from Sketchfab. Here it is. Look at that. Maybe we could bring up, let's see. We have any textures? No, we don't have any textures, so we'll keep it on wireframe. And obviously it's really big. Let's see. There's an outline. We could actually delete the outline because we don't need that. We are only looking for the base model and the accessories. Now, if you wanted to, of course, get rid of any accessories, what you can do is select your accessories, click F7 on your keyboard, and just drag over here and then click delete. Oh, sorry. You don't want to do that. You want to hold down, right click, faces. You want to select the whole face for that, then click delete, and now the silencer is gone. And now you could do that for the grip. You can do that for the red dot and all that. But we're keeping all these attachments on just for the sake of the tutorial and because I'm going to come in later and get rid of some of these stuff. So this is going to be like the legendary, at least for me, my Borderlands Atlas is going to be like a legendary weapon. Anyway, let me stop rambling and continue on the tutorial. So let's go to create empty group. Let's name this, our weapon. So for me, this is going to be Borderlands _ AK-47. Let's select these two and hold down middle mouse, bring them to this group. Now, if we just drag across a couple of frames, make sure that nothing messes up. Let's click E on our keyboard, bring it over to attribute editor. Let's make sure that the rotation is on 0. That is perfect. So now it's the same angle. Let's click R. Let's just drag down the size, and we want it exactly in the same spot, pretty much. So the way I line it up is through where the trigger is, right here. So you see it's a little too small. Maybe make it a little bit bigger, and just drag it around. And you want it relatively in the same exact spot. Once it's there, we could actually get rid of the mag view file and the M27 or whatever gun that is file. So now all we're left with is our joints and our mesh for our weapon. So we'll keep the mesh here. Let's take tag clip, middle mouse it under tag weapon. So now it is linked with that. And you can see that little line came across from the tag weapon and it brought it to tag clip. Cool. Now let's drag around some of these joints because obviously they don't line up. And the only thing that we're going to have a real problem with is a tag clip, so we're going to do that last. So tag brass is where the bullets come out of the gun. I'm trying to make my zooming work. So let's see. Let's click F6, Iron 6. Just drag it to here because that is where it comes out. Hold on, my cat's on my lap. Okay, that looks pretty good. Go back to wireframe. Tag flash is where the muzzle flash comes from. So we'll bring it all the way to the front. Like so. That's good. Tag sights. Don't know what it does, but I like to put it where the red dot is. And then tag clip. We're going to put it right in the middle of the clip, like so. Maybe drag it down. We want it like kind of in the middle of this mesh right here. So that's looking pretty good, pretty good. So now we could, you know, get rid of that. So now all we have is our joints and our AK-47. So let's select both. Select hierarchy. Let's change this from modeling to rigging. We're going to click skin and bind the skin. So now the joints are bind with the mesh. And you can tell it's working when you click on a joint and the gun turns purple. Perfect. So just to make sure everything works, we could drag it around. And you're going to see it's a little wonky like that. Now, the only time this really matters is if you have a tag clip or if you have like a bolt animate. Other than that, it shouldn't really matter. But we do have a tag clip, which is unfortunate because it's going to be a little annoying. And you can see if you drag it around, the whole gun kind of moves. But what we want is only the magazine. So we're going to do some weight painting. So to do that, we go to skin, paint skin weights. Let's click this little box like so. And let us click tag clip. And what do we want? We want this right here. So let us bring up where we could see paint. Let's see. As you could see. Let's go down here to use color ramp so we could see what's being affected. Now you see this value right here, the weight color. If it's black, it doesn't get affected. If it's blue, it gets a little bit affected, and it goes all the way up to red, which is the most affected. And white is, you know, use white. I don't know why. But relatively speaking, you know, we only want the clip to be red and nothing else. So let's bring the value down to 0. Let's flood it. So now everything is black. Let's do the same thing with this because who cares about this? We don't want any of that touching it. Let's go back to the accessories. And now is where we go to value. Try to bring it as close to 1 as possible. And we could just go ahead and start painting. And you can see it's turning all different colors. If we go down to stroke, change the radius. We could do it up a little bit just so it's a little bit easier to paint on. Like so. We're going to want to do this whole thing. Make sure there's no black or else it's not going to be dragged when we go into the animations, and we want to make like a reloading animation. So that looks okay for now. Let's see if there's a work. Let's take let's press on tag clip. Let's drag it. It looks like the inside hasn't done it. So if we keep it here, go back to accessories, go back to weight paint. You know, this right here is last selected brush. You can tell that this is black. If we just paint over it like so, just keep clicking and keep clicking. We don't want that yellow. We want that red. Try and fix everything, please. So I'll just go over it as much as we want. That looks pretty good. Let's go again. Let's drag it further. Oh, you can still see some of it hasn't been painted fully. So, you know, back to accessories, back to weight painting. Do that. What is that right there? I don't know. Go inside the clip, see what's not being affected. I mean, the inside of the clip really doesn't matter, and I mean most of it doesn't really matter, to be honest. If there's like little bits and pieces sticking out, because this is gonna be a reload animation, you're gonna throw the clip away, and then it's gonna come back. Now, unfortunately, there's only 2 clips here. What you can do is take this mesh and duplicate it, this clip, and just have it off way in the back. So if you throw the clip away, second clip will come in, and then the animation will end, so it just replaces it. But we're not too fancy like that, you know. I just started this shit. So let's take a clip, bring it way back in. And that's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Now, we're going to want some textures for this weapon, because as you can see, there's literally no textures on this weapon. Well, that's why we have our textures right here. We have a bunch of textures. We have base color, a normal. All we need right now is base color, and we can keep the normal. But it's up to you if you want to use your normals or not. I know for Borderlands weapons, they're not going to be normals, but only worrying about right now base color. So we could actually get rid of these because Radiant doesn't support other things like that. So we'll take these 2 colors. I'm just going to drag this to my other monitor. And if you don't have this right here, this little blue dot, it's because it's right here in this middle one. You want to click it to extend it open. We're going to click this, and that will bring up the hyper shader. And you can see there's a bunch of materials right here. Let us select everything except for this one, and just click delete. And the ones that can be deleted will be deleted, and the ones that can't be won't be. So we have this white texture, which is good. And let us just name this, you know, AK-47-1. And since we have 2 textures, let us duplicate shading network. And it already named it to AK-47-2. So let's click our first one, go to color, click these little boxes, click file, click this little folder, and let us find our textures. So that's base color. This looks like the weapon, this looks like the accessories, and it literally tells you there. Wow, I can't read. Okay, that's for 1. Same exact thing. Click the color little box, click file. A little folder, base color, coolio. So let's select the main gun. Let's select our main texture, right click, hold it down, go to assign material to selection, and same thing for the accessories. Did I do this one? Oh, I might have, oops, I might have accidentally selected the same thing. Yeah, accessories. There we go, looks good. Sorry about that. All right. So now that we have that, we could close out of this. And we named it that in the textures because that's what Radiant is going to... That's what Ape, sorry, is going to recognize the textures as. And you want it lowercase so that you can overwrite it. Say if you want different textures and camos and stuff like that. And if it's in capitals, it'll always give you errors, which I've learned is not fun because when I was porting over Borderlands models, they were all in capital letters and numbers, and it's really annoying in Ape to deal with that. So now that we have this, we can get rid of our tool settings and let us select BL AK-47, joints, select hierarchy, Call of Duty tools, export X model. We get this little window pop up. Let's save to. Click the 3 little dots. It should bring you exactly to your Call of Duty Black Ops 3 model export folder. And we're going to wait for this to load because I have a shit ton of models. You can create a folder in here for your custom models. I already have one. Borderlands models. You know, save it wherever you want. I'm going to save it here. Weapons. I already did this before, this exact weapon, if you haven't seen my video before, and it looks like S. So I'm redoing it. Anyway, file name, we're going to name this view model underscore AK47. Click save. And then with our joints and AK47 selected, we're going to click export selected. Save changes to the weapon base file, no. Now, with other weapons like Treyarch weapons, you want to change tag weapon, but since we're never doing renaming and stuff like that, if you ever ported your own weapons before from other Call of Duties, there was this big process where you had to rename stuff and do a bunch of stuff with your tag weapon, change to J-gun. We don't have to do that. That is a step we could avoid. So we're done with that. We can click out of here. One last thing, we want to save scene as, and save it somewhere in your desktop. I have my weapons folder, so we'll just save this as AK47, and our file name, we'll just name it AK47, save as, using a student version, so just click continue, and we are done with that. So we can minimize it, don't close it, just in case, if we ever need to reopen it. And let us open up our T7 rig. So I have this in a zip file, so really quickly, I am just going to make a folder, rig, drag all these in. Done. Let's open it up. And we want the view model rig T7. We don't want the hands or detective. We want the regular rig. And let's open up in Maya. Oh. So when you open it up in Maya, you should have something like this. Your outliner is going to be detached, and we're just going to drag it to my other monitor. And here we have, right here, this is our view hands for what it looks like in-game. This is the field of view of, I believe, 65. And here we have our view model arms. And it's a little hard to get used to it at first. It's really annoying because it's not set up right. Because this is technically the top. And this is the right side, and that's the back side. So it's a little annoying to get used to the controls, but once you do, it's pretty fairly simple. So here is where we're going to do all the animations. This is the rig. So let's go ahead and open up where we saved our, let's see, our rig thing, our AK-47 Maya file. So, Borderlands weapons, AK-47, right here, AK-47. This is the file that we just saved from our other scene. So let's drag the scene onto here, and now we have the AK-47 in our game. So if we go to our outliner, let us select joints, tag weapon, and let us just move it down, and we want the gun somewhere in the middle without moving left or right. You only want to move forward and backward and up and down. Let's just put it there, right in the middle. What we're going to want to do is go to rig, view model, joints, all the way to the bottom one. And we're going to keep extending this until we get to ADS torso and tag weapon right. Now let's open that up. Let's bring tag weapon. We're going to middle mouse it underneath tag weapon right. So now it is together. And let us export this as our animation file so that Radiant can, so Ape can view it as a animation. So let us select tag view. Now, everything after the colon gets read. Everything before the colon doesn't get read. So for the remainder of the video, I'm just going to say tag view, tag weapon right. And I'm just going to forget about all this right here. The view model, deathmatch, G7 hands, view model, team hands, blah, 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 understand. Tag view. So let's select tag view. Select hierarchy. Let's go to our AK-47. Select one mesh. It doesn't matter which one. And we are going to export X model. And wait for this to load again. And where we saved, where we exported our other view model, we're going to want to name this one anim_AK-47 and then export selected. Save changes? No. Cool. Now we could get rid of that. Drag this over to off the screen. And now let's set up where this weapon is going to look right in game. So if we select tag weapon, as you can see, my outliner is on the other side of the screen. So over here, you're just going to select tag weapon. Let's drag it up to where we want it in game. So if we do tag weapon, we'll drag it where we want it to look in game. So we can go up. I don't really know where we want it. That looks about fine. So I have a problem with keying sometimes. If we go to animation, and if it ever resets when you're dragging away from on different frames, that's just because something is being touched by a frame and it's not being saved. What you can just do is go to key and then delete it and make sure all the red frames are deleted, so that will reset it. So whenever you move it around, it won't be reset as like on that frame. So let us put our hands there on the weapon. So I'm going to show you how to do this once, and then for every animation we're going to go through. The only thing that are different is the ADS up and the ADS down, which is aim down sights. Those are the only two animations that are different from what I'm about to show you. So once I show you this idle animation, which we're about to make, I'll show you how to do the ADS up, ADS down. I'll go over some of the simpler animations, and then it's just going to be like a fast forward of me creating the other animations. So let's get started. So we're going to want to select this box. This selects the whole hand and controls it. So if you move it around, the arm moves and everything. And let's try and get it as close as we can onto the grip like so. Now, of course, you could rotate it and everything. And you can move all these fingers around. You could bend it if you want on any joint, like so. All you have to do if you're ever going to change it, like in a reload animation, you just got to make it a new key. And I'll show you how to do that. Let's just get this into position first. Now, say for this hand, as you can see, like it doesn't really reach. You could select this box over here, which is the shoulder, and just move it up a little bit. Maybe move it down. It's whatever looks best. So if you see right here, you could tell that it's like kind of going in a little bit to the screen too much. We don't want that. So we're just going to drag it down and then go ahead and fix the hand to where we want it to be. All right, so this looks pretty decent so far. Uh, if it really doesn't matter about like if you're gonna unless you're like doing this for really super serious stuff, you can go a little more in depth with it, change the rotation around for the fingers and stuff like that. This hand, you just want it in the position. You're not gonna really see it as much. But let's go ahead and create the idle animation. So if we bring our outliner over, we're going to want to select tag torso and tag cam bone. Select hierarchy, quality tools, and this time we're going to export xanim. And it's going to bring up this file. Now this window looks a little different because it's going to go from frames, tells you the FPS. Note tracks is for sound. We're not going to use that. We're going to want to save. So let's click these three little dots where we want to save, and it'll bring up the xanim export. Create a folder, of where you want your anims to be. So I already have an AK-47, so I'm just gonna name it AK-47_new. And file name, since this is the idle animation, let's do BL_AK-47 idle, and click save. Now we want this frames from 0 to 3 because we just want, a small frame of windows. Window of frames. I don't even know if that makes sense. But you just want it like really small because that's the idle animation. Not moving. You don't need it like 100 frames or anything like that. Let's export selected. Save changes, no. And boom. That is done. That is the idle animation already created. So let's go ahead and do the ADS up, the ADS down, and we'll do ADS fire, and then I'm just going to go through speed quickly, just go through what I do the rest of the animations. So let's do the ADS up and down. So for the ADS up and down, it is different. You're not going to move the hands at all. You're going to go back to this box right here, and that is controlling the whole rig. So let us click S on your keyboard. If you don't have that, you go to up here, animation key, set key, make it S, click it. So now we have a little red mark here. Now, it depends on how many frames. Usually it's like 15 frames to 17 frames of the ADS up and down. So let's just do 17 to make it even. So let's go to 20. Click S again while having this selected. So now it's red. And we're going to want to drag this over, this whole thing, of where we want the player to see the weapon. Now, you don't want it where it's like going into the gun, or else it'll look pretty bad. Now, it's hard because like this texture right here isn't transparent yet. We have to fix that in Photoshop. So we're gonna have to just slightly just move this over until we're pretty much eyeballing it. And that looks pretty close, if I do say so myself. So let's click S again to make sure it saves. So now you could tell that we have an ADS animation. So if we click here on this side, we could scrub through and see what it looks like. That looks pretty good. What we could do is have a little flare to it. So let's say around Frame 11, we'll click this. Let's click E on our keyboard to bring up the rotation, and we'll just do something like this. Click S, so now it looks like he brings it up, and then points it down, or plops it down. And that looks pretty good. So, why is this different? Well, if we bring on our outliner, we're going to want to select Tag View, Tag Torso, and that is it. Then we will export Xanim. We could just rename this from idle to ADS_up. Changes frames from 0, INA to 3 to 20. Export selected, save changes no, and boom. Now let's do ADS fire. So, you don't have to do it my way, which is just keep going with the frames. I just find this easier. It is going to require a little bit of math later on, but that is okay. Let's change this number from 48 because we're going to need a little bit more frames than that. Let's make it 300. Okie dokie. Now, we're going to have to change. You can't just do this. Like say, you know, if you want to go like that, if you want to shoot up with the recoil, it won't work. That only works, you can only control this one, this joint or whatever it's called, the whole rig, with the ADS up and down. You can't do any other animations with it. I've learned that the hard way. So we're going to have to edit the tag weapon and the hands. So where do we have our outliner? Let's drag this over here. Tag weapon. We're going to make this one to go up a tiny bit, because there's not much recoil, maybe like so. Bring it back a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, frame year on 20, sorry, forgot about that. Then go to like 2 frames ahead. So for 22, we'll bring it back a little bit and bring up the rotation a little bit. And then 25, we can just copy 20, bring it to 25, click S. So now when we fire, boom. So that looks pretty good. Now we didn't change the hands at all. So, you know, select the hand, click frame on 20, 25, 22. We can just bring this up a little bit. Bring it back a little bit. So now hand moves with it. Same thing for this hand. You're not really ever going to see it, but you know, it's just good to practice. Now it goes along like that. And it should line up with the ADS up and ADS down. It should never be different, because if it's different, then animations won't line up correctly and it's going to look really weird in game. So that is the ADS fire. So what we can do is do tag torso, tag cam bone, select hierarchy, call to tools, Xanim, and we'll name this ADS fire. And you know, make sure you changed frames from 20 to 25 and then export selected. And last time we are going to do the ADS down. So let's go to frame 25. Click this right here. Let's click S on our keyboard. Let's copy over what we have from 3, because this is where our idle animation ends. 25 plus 17 is what we did. So that is 42. Right here. Let's paste. Click S to save it. And maybe like halfway, we'll just do a little rotation. Now it looks like this. Nice. We have our fire, ADS down, boom. And since it's an ADS animation, we're going to do tag view and tag torso. That is it. Anim, ADS down. Oh boy. And let's change the frames from 25 to 42. And then we get export selected, save no. Alright, I messed that up, but I had to save it. Anyway, at this point, if you don't want to lose any progress, we could save our scene as if we just go to desktop, where our 74, we could just name this AK-47 rig. And now whenever we open up this file, we could just change animations if we have to, and then just export them so we know exactly what we're doing. So this is the part of the video where I'm just going to go in and change up to all animations. And on the screen right now is all animations that you should have in your game, that you should create, really. It depends if you want to slide in or out or not. Since I am doing a Borderlands style map and there's no sliding, I won't be doing sliding, but you should go ahead and create that anyway. So let's just get on with it to the time lapse. Alright, now that we have all of our animations, let's go ahead and open up Call of Duty Black Ops Mod Tools. Alright, once we're in the Mod Tools, let's open up Ape. Now here we are in Ape. So, the first thing I'm going to want you to do is go and create a new GTT. You can name this whatever you want, but for me, I'm going to name this Borderlands Weapons AK 47. Click save. Okay. And what I'm going to want you to do is right click, click new asset, and we're going to name this BL or whatever you want. This is going to be your view model. So for me, it's going to be BL AK 47. And asset type, let's make sure it is an X model. Click OK. And right here, let's make this one LOD. And let us open up the file. So we have Borderlands models, weapons, AK-47. Okay, so one thing that I want to note, in Maya, doesn't matter which one you open, if you click on your Call of Duty tools, right here it's going to say export to bin is going to be off for you probably, or on, wherever you want. I have it to on, so I'm going to show you what to do if you have it as off. If you have it off, you're going to need to download another thing called Chronos. It will be in the description below. And let's go ahead and open up Chronos. Here we have it. Now, this is going to convert all the X model exports and XNM exports into bins. So if we go back into our root folder, if you go to model export, go to where you have your weapons. Okay, let me just delete these bins so I could show you what to do. So all we want to do is take our exports, drag them here, boom, and they should be there. Let me delete all these just so you can see. Here we go. We have our two model bins. We can now delete these exports, drag in our bins, and we're going to do the same thing for our XAnim exports. So we have... Oh, I deleted... I forgot I did that. Well, I deleted my exports. You just want to do the same thing, though. Drag all your exports, your XAnim exports into here, and then drag them back to make them all XAnim bins. And we can close out of that. Close out of here. One last thing. Actually, no, I'll do it later. So, again, let's go into our ape right here. File. Click on the three dots. And let's go back to where we were. Weapons, AK-47. Let's click the view model and open. And here we should have our weapon with no textures. And remember, if we when we set it up, oh, sorry about that. That was my cat. When we set it up in Maya, we changed the textures to BL AK-47_1 and 2. So let's go ahead and create these materials. Now, we didn't set up these textures to be working in Radiant, but that's okay. Go ahead and, assign your material type if it's a lit. And the type, surface type range, gloss range, all that. And color map here, let's create the color. And we're going to have to go into where we have our weapons. So we downloaded the textures here. We have our two textures here. We're going to have to convert these into TIFFs. let's open up Chronos again because we can do that within Chronos. If we just go down here to Image Converter, drag and drop these, and we can have them right here. Look at that. They're TIFFs. And let's just go to Black Ops 3, Model Export, Borderlands Models, Weapons, AK-47, create a new folder, name it Images, and we could just drag them in. Now, if you wanted to make normal maps for this, I can provide one more link in the description. It's a program called Shader Map 4, and it is really simple to use. And here, if we go here, what we can do is just say we want the, not the accessories, the normal ones. We just drag it on. So we have our texture, and if you click right here, look at that. We have a normal map, and you could just click this little save icon, format, TIFF, click the save, and it won't even ask you to rename. I'll just do it just to show you. And if we get out of here, look at that. Created it right here. But we're not going to be using normals, at least for this weapon, so I'm not going to go over that. So we can close out of here. Let's bring up the texture. So if we go to weapons, AK-47, this is the base color. Go back to our model. And look at that. And let's do the same thing for our accessories. I put the gloss range on brick because it looks cartoony. So let's go back. And look at that. Well, it's not cartoony, it's just there's no gloss range. So with this gun, you could see that the sight isn't transparent at all. And the player, when they zoom in, they're not going to be able to see through it. So we could just go into Photoshop and just change around the transparency of that one little area. Now, I believe that should be in the accessories. So let's go back to Ape. We'll find out. Yes, it is the accessories. So we go here, click this little Photoshop icon, open in Photoshop. Let's grab this little tool, zoom in, click. Let us Control C, delete that. Oh wait, hold on. To make this a layer first, delete that, paste, and we'll just bring the opacity to like 50%. Save transparency. Okay. Close out of this, and let's see what that looks like. Oh, we actually can't do that because this is not a lit transparent reveal. Now that is really broken. Maybe if we just do lit transparent. There we go. Let's try and get it as close as we can to see what it looks like. That looks pretty good. Maybe a little too dark. So, you know, you could always just go back in and it'll change the opacity. Maybe to like 25%. You know, save. And it'll update right there. Look at that. I think that's good enough, to be honest. So now what we have to do is set up the animations in Ape. So let's go ahead and just save this, Control S, so everything's normal. New asset. Let's name this BL AK-47, and we'll start off with the idle animation. Because the idle, there are two types of animations. You have your looping and your regular animations. So anything that's looping would be your idle and your sprint loop. So if we just go down to asset type X-anim, click OK. This one is use bones. We don't want that ticked, but we do want looping on. Change the type to a relative, I believe. Let me just make sure. Yes. Okay. Now the anim file is the animation. So if we go to weapons, AK-47 new, idle. And the model file is the anim file. So if we go to our weapons, AK-47, it is that anim underscore weapon that we did the first time within the rig that we had all the animations and our thing. So now we have that. That should work. And if we duplicate this, we will just make this sprint loop. We could just change this to sprint loop. And that is it for all the looping. So we could just go ahead and start off with ADS down. And we're just going to go in order like so. And make sure these are not looping. We don't want that. We'll save. ADS down is ADS down. ADS fire is ADS fire. Then we'll have ADS up. We'll have down. Next. Then we'll have fire. Fire. We have idle already. So let's do sprint in. And sprint out. Yep. And we could do reload. And then we could do, reload empty. We could do up. And then up initial. Okay, so we should have, just to make sure, Borderlands weapons, AK new. We should have 13, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And only idle and sprint loop should be looping. So now let's create the actual weapon file. Let's go to new assets. Now this is going to change. Trying to explain. The asset type is going to change. The file, weapon file. Fuck, I'm like, kind of can't speak. It's going to change depending on which weapon you have. So we have a weapon that fires bullets. So we are going to do bullet weapon. There are also, I believe, if we go here, grenade weapon, a melee weapon, projectile weapon. I think that's it. But we want bullet weapon, and the asset name is literally what it's going to be in called for in the game. So when you're in the console and you want to give yourself the weapon, this is the file. This is the name that it's going to come up. So we can click OK, and we are going to want to change a bunch of stuff in here. So display name. What is it going to say in game? So I already know what I came up for with this weapon is the AK-87. Player anim type, we can do, so it depends on what you have. What I like to do is have a reference. So a really good reference is Sky, the Skylord. He actually has, let's see, I have his Infinite Warfare pack. And since he did the, there's a AK-47 in, Infinite Warfare, we can actually just open this up if we press Control, and you could see everything that he has. And we could just copy over all the stats. So, you know, we're gonna name this AK-87. Penetration, medium, impact, type, large. Now, this is all going to change for you when you're doing your own weapon. So, let me just expand all, so everything will open up. And it gives a little bit of time. Come on. Okay. Let's keep going down. It is it's not a rifle bullet. Melee charge range, we can give them all the same timers and ranges as the Volk. ADS, yes. Can use underwater, no. Enemy crosshair range, 750. Lock-on range, we could change those, change that. Okay, now this is the movement scale. So if you're using I would always make a weapon that you could just copy from another weapon. So since I'm using, it looks like an AK-47, I'm going to use like the exact same. timers and everything as an AK-47. So, but if you want to make this gun really slow when you have it, you can name this 0.2, and it'll be 0.2% or 20% of your speed. But we want it as 1.9%. Ammo clip relative, which this means what you have in the clip times this number. So if we do 8, that means it's going to be 30 times 8, and that's how much ammo is given to you. Overheating, there is no overheating. Tracer, I guess we could just copy that over. You're going to have to get your own effects for that, but I'm just going to use skies because it's really easy. Now damage, we could change this. This is going to be my common weapon type. Actually, this is going to be my legendary weapon type. So I'm going to change this to 190 times 5, which is, we could do like 900 damage. That's quite a lot. Maybe we'll do 600 damage. And then the minimum damage will be 300, half that. AI damage, we don't really need that, but we'll put it in. Location damage. So if it's, at the head, it's going to do 5 times more damage and stuff like that. State timers. Now, this is really important. This is how fast everything goes in time. So intro fire is 0.1 second. All this. We're going to want to copy all this over. Now, the reload speed, that means it's going to take 2.5 seconds to reload. I want it a little bit faster, maybe 1.53, and we'll do this too. And we could just subtract it all by 1 second. And we'll do that. We can copy all these over and, subtract 1 second. Oh, whoops. Oh, nope, I didn't want to do that. This is 2. This is 1. That's 0. That's 0. That's 1. That's 0. Cool. Let's go down. Raise can be all the same. Empty drop. Yeah, we could do all these. Sprint, loop, animations. Maybe we'll change this to 3. Do all this. Swim doesn't really matter. Wall run, I'm not doing wall running in my gun, so it doesn't really matter. Movement settings, we could just do all that. Okay, standing, we'll just put it all over. Crouch movement settings, we'll move that over. Prone, same exact thing. Get all these timers. Idle, that's good. ADS, now these are the ADS settings, so we're going to want exactly the same. Hip spread, same thing. Pretty much an AK-47 at this point, except with higher damage, and it shoots laser rounds. But it's a bandit weapon, so I'm going to have to change that to a normal rifle bullet. Maybe the upgraded version, or like the more rare version will have tracer rounds. Oh, I am making it. Oh, look at that. Okay, AI spread. We changed the reticle over. Pretty much copying most of this stuff over. Now, here's where everything is kind of changed. So the X model is BL-AK-47. World gun is AK-47, but it's actually BL-AK-47. Okay, so that's what the people see in the world, and that's what people see holding the gun. We don't have a different world model gun, so that's okay. We could give it the same offsets for the stowed. We keep going down. Cosmetics, we don't need any of that because it's not cosmetics. All right, X anims. Here's what we're gonna start putting in our BL-AK-47 anims. So we could just copy this right here, and we will go ahead do idle. Idle for, we don't even need that. Fire. That. Fire for this one. So reload, we have reload, and then we have reload empty, going down. Raise is up, drop is down. First raise is up initial, and this one is up, this one is down, up, this one is down. Then we have our sprint in, we have our sprint loop, we have our sprint out. Keep going down. We could just transfer these over. We have ADS fire, ADS fire. We have our ADS up, ADS down. Transfer these over. Slides we don't have, or at least I don't have. And all these we could just copy over. Swimming we don't have to care about. FX, so this is the flash FX. Where we have it as tag flash, what's going to show up is going to be right here. Keep going down. Impacts, we could do these. I guess we'll change the... So let's do these. Weapon pickup. Now the fire, I like to leave empty. I do this. The gun sounds, I like to do that on the animations themselves. But I never... You know, we could actually put them here. We'll do the gun downs in a little bit. Let's just leave that. And do SMG fire for the rumble. HUD icons, you don't got to worry about. And that is it. So, now, for sounds, we're going to have to get a bullet sound. You can get a sound from anywhere. I'm not going to show you how to get a sound, obviously. I will show you, though, how to export it in Audacity. Once you have your sound, just discard, yes. I do have a sound, actually. If we go here, sound assets, Borderlands, weapons, AK-87, fire, mag in, mag out. I don't have a cockback sound, which is okay. I'll add that in later. So, if you have your fire, you put in your gun. This is what it sounds like. Well, that's what mine sounds like, at least. Make sure the project rate is on 48,000. Make sure it's amplified to the most it can be. And then you want to export it as a wave. And you want it wave, Microsoft signed 16-bit PCM. And you could save it to wherever you prefer. Just remember where it is. So it's sound assets. And then in there you can, make your custom file folder like I did. And then weapons and AK-7. Here we go. So just like that. So that is how you get your sounds. I think I actually do have a cockback. I'm going to have to use a different weapon file sound, though. But that's okay. So we don't want to save. Let's go to our root folder. And we're going to set up the sounds now in GSC for our map. So let's go to Black Ops 3, Share, Raw, Sound, Aliases. What I like to do is copy user aliases and make it your map name or whatever. Maybe you're making multiple weapons and you want all of them to be together. So let's open up, make a copy user alias, do it here, paste it, and let's open it up in Sublime Text. Now you're not gonna have obviously all these, but weapons here, there's gonna be code in the description exactly for this weapon. It's gonna be right here. And so let me just really quickly go over. So you're going to see weapon BL AK-87 fire. We're going to change this though. 47. Screw it. We'll leave it as 87. Yes. So this is your what it's going to be called in Ape. Sound assets, and then your folder, subfolder, your sound, and then you don't change anything else. The only time it's going to be different is when it's like a 3D sound, which this is 3D, so you can see 8080. And this is a player sound, which they only hear, which is the mag in and the mag out. Now, for the cockback, I should have right here, this slide. We're just going to copy this over here. We will name this AK-87 slide, and we'll keep it like that. So let's save. And let us just put this to the side. I'm putting it on my other monitor. Okie dokie. Let's go back into Ape. And right here, fire. We're going to take our fire and put it right here. There we go. That's it. And let's set up the sounds in our animations. So let's go over to our AK-87, which is right here. Let us do the reload. Do the reload first, and then the reload empty. So we can minimize these. Let's start. So my frame for my reload starts at 175. So this is 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see in Ape, it says first frame is 175. So if you go 2 ahead, it'll be 1, 2. This is the second frame. It's not 177. I'm not going to put 177. You'll see in a little bit. I'm going to put 2. So mag out is at 189. So let's do a little bit of math. Even though that's really simple math, it's 14. But 189 minus 175 is 14. So, reload, action, sound, frame 14, sound alias. We're going to take this and do the weapon BL AK-7 mag out. And let's make it a little fancy, and let's do a little rumble. And we can make this reload medium. Okay. Now let us continue forward. Let's go back to Maya. Let's go ahead. Boom. Mag in is at 229. So 229 minus 175, that is 54. So at frame, well, let's do sound. And at frame 54, we have the sound alias of mag in. We'll do another little rumble bumble. Make it a little fancy. Now, the rumble only applies to people with controllers. Just saying. There's no rumble in your mouse. Unless you have that, that's pretty dope. Anyway, let's continue forward. And we have cock back starting at 250. We'll do it 250. Here. So 175 minus 250. That is 75. So sound 75. And we will do a weapon slide. Just like that. Do I have a better cockback? No, I don't. Alright, whatever. It works. It works, it works. So, that's actually for the reload empty. And I just... Oh, man. I messed that one up. But it's pretty much the same thing for me. So, I'm just going to transfer over all these sounds. Like so. Except, when I do this... I'm gonna make the note 5 none for the reload, because the reload shouldn't have cockback when it's not being cocked back. So we are done in Ape. Let us save and close this. We can close out our subline. Let's minimize Maya. Close a bunch of stuff on my computer. Close Photoshop. Let's go into our map. Let's edit the zone file. And let us add this in. So to add it in, you're just going to type in weapon, comma, and your weapon name. And press Control S. Save. And let us link and build. And I will get back to you in the game. Alright, so here we are in game. And let's go ahead, open up the console. And let us give ourselves our weapon. Alright, I see one issue so far. I guess I just assigned... Yep, alright, I assigned the wrong animations to the wrong, anim. But that's okay, because for the most part, everything works. Let's see. Look at that! Let's see if our reload works. We'll just get all the ammo out. Oh, that's looking pretty good. Let's see, yep, this one works. Let's see. We have weapon sway. We have recoil. Alright. Our gun goes away. Our gun comes out. It looks like only the sprint loop animation and the initial first pull-out animation are flipped, so I can just easily go into Ape and fix that. But anyway, I am super proud with how this came out, and I'll be using this in my map definitely once I fix the animations. I just want to say thank you all for watching. If you found this video if you found this video useful, sorry, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you didn't find it useful at all and you hate me, go ahead and dislike it. That's okay too. And yeah, I will see you all in the next video. Peace out, guys. Have a wonderful day.